Hey guys, so tonight's video is going to be a little bit different. Tonight's video is a collaboration video with a really great YouTuber named The Lawn Gnome. He does movie reviews as well, but he also does a lot of really creative like top 10, top 5 lists. And he was kind enough to reach out to me and ask me if I wanted to participate in one of his lists. So that's what I'm doing. Tonight's list, it was a bit of a challenge actually. He gave me a good one. It's 10 actors, 10 famous actors who are known for a role where they're kind of playing against type, against what they normally do. So our videos are what he calls blind box. We haven't talked about it. We don't know what each other are going to say. So we might have some that overlap. You'd have to watch both of them to see. And I definitely encourage you to check out his half after you view this and all the other stuff on his page. He just does lots of really cool stuff, and I'm sure you'd like to see more of his stuff and subscribe. So with that said, this is in no particular order. I'm just going to go into it. And I do have a piece of paper because it's a lot of stuff that I wanted to get kind of out. So my first choice, oh, and one other disclaimer. All of these are ones that I've seen in the movie theater, so the span of these movies are like the last 20 to 30 years. I didn't really go back beyond that. I stuck to stuff that I grew up seeing, just so you know. But anyways, the first film, or the first actor that I have, is Brad Pitt in 12 Monkeys. This movie was made in 1995, and it is a action sci-fi movie starring Brad Pitt and Bruce Willis. It has to do with the future and going in the past to change certain events. Don't want to go too much into it if you haven't seen it, but it's a great film. But the reason I chose this one is Brad Pitt's character in this, he is crazy. And by crazy, I mean Bruce Willis meets him in a mental institution. He plays this character that is just like over the top, zany, crazy, just doing weird things. And it's really the first time that I ever remember seeing Brad Pitt in anything like this. I mean, he's done some projects since then that are kind of zany, like Snatch, Fight Club, other things where he plays kind of more out-of-the-box role. But before this, he was more known for being good-looking and being a leading man or a co-starring man, and was known for his looks and doing more dramatic stuff. And this was really the first time that I saw him, you know, not caring what he looks like, being a little out of the box, taking some risks. And yeah, so Brad Pitt is my first choice in 12 Monkeys. Second would be the next year, 1996, George Clooney in From Dusk Till Dawn. And this movie is a Quentin Tarantino movie. And oh no, it's not. No, it's not. It's a Robert Rodriguez movie that Quentin Tarantino is in. And Quentin Tarantino and and George Clooney, they play brothers, and they're not nice guys. They are criminals, and they are ruthless, and they take hostages, and they basically get stuck in this bar all night long that turns out to be a bar full of vampires, and it's them having to survive from dusk till dawn. There is a lot of language, a lot of violence. George Clooney is all tatted up. He's not a nice guy. He's like gun-toting, killing people, all that kind of stuff, which was, again, completely different from anything that I'd seen him in before. I mean, most famously, he was known for being a clean-cut, good-looking doctor on the show ER. So he goes from that, kind of being this leading man, this dramatic guy, to a movie that is full of action and violence and just kind of a complete 180 from what he had been doing before. Again, another great movie, and just refreshing to see him take his big first steps kind of out of the box of ER and all that kind of stuff. Next on my list is Joaquin Phoenix in 2002 Signs. If anybody's seen any of my other videos, you know that I love the movie Signs. So beyond the fact that this is a great movie, Joaquin Phoenix in this is so fun. I mean, he's a little zany. This is a drama, but it's got a lot of comedy in it, just like a lot of M. Night Shyamalan's movies. A lot of the tense moments are broken up with comedy. And his character, especially, is kind of the comic relief in this movie. Um, he plays Mel Gibson's younger brother. He's kind of like the all-American boy, had played baseball. Funny, like the funny uncle to Mel Gibson's kids in that movie. I mean, he's a little weird, but really just your typical guy next door, which is like the complete opposite of what he normally plays. He normally is in really strict, what I'd say, like definitely in the drama category movies or in the indie category. He normally plays it very serious, very straight, or very quirky, but I mean, all of his characters are strange or weird or different. He doesn't ever really play more of the guy next door, the main character. Um, and this was earlier in his career, hasn't really done anything, I would say, more mainstream or normal since then, but I will always remember him in this movie and always enjoy this role, which is pretty different from anything else he does. Um, Next is Christian Bale in 2005's Batman Begins. I love Christian Bale, and of course, in Batman, he plays Bruce Wayne, Batman, and this is a huge franchise, huge comic book action movie, which is really different from anything that he did before and pretty different than what he's done since. Christian Bale was known for being more of an indie or dramatic actor. He'd been the leading man, but it was in like American Psycho, The Machinist, Equilibrium. There was some action in Equilibrium, but these were all like lesser known, lower budget films, and he's more of a character actor. So even him taking the role in Batman Begins, when I originally found out, I was excited because I love him. He's a great actor, but a little surprised that someone like him would agree to be in such a big franchise because that's just not really his style. And so, even though he did action before, I would still point this role out because, you know, it was the first kind of thing where he was a household name now, Christian Bale, because he'd been in such a big, epic um, franchise. And other than doing Terminator film, which is another big franchise that he did after that, he really has gone back to, even if they're bigger build films with lots of stars, he still plays more of a character actor most of the time. But of course, it was great to be able to see him in something like Batman that gave him more exposure and helped him become a household name. My next one would be, and I'm sorry, you guys, I have really bad allergies, so I'm sorry I'm so congested. The next one on my list would be Robin Williams in 2002's 1 Hour Photo. This movie was an independent kind of sleeper, but it really got a lot of critical acclaim. And in this movie, Robin Williams, he plays this photo operator, like, you take your photos to Walgreens and he develops them. Because back in the day, we actually did that. We took film and they brought back, they developed it right there on the spot and gave you back photos. But he plays this man, and that's his job, and he's older, he's gray, he's got the wrinkles. It's a really, really subdued character with lots of layers and lots of darkness to it. And that's pretty different from anything else that he's done. I mean, when you think about Robin Williams, you think about Mrs. Doubtfire, you think about the genie in Aladdin, you think about all of these over-the-top, charismatic characters. And yes, he had done drama before, Dead Poets Society, Good Will Hunting. He'd played stuff that was more subdued, but still had a little bit of a youthful aspect. I mean, still had like that glimmer of Robin Williams in his eye. Whereas in this movie, he really shut all of that down. You didn't see, that comedian, that Robin Williams energy. It was really something different, um, and dark, but really well done. Um, Next, we go to 2008 for Tom Cruise in Tropic Thunder. Tropic Thunder is a comedy slash kind of action. It's a movie about an action movie being made. And while they're making this action movie, they actually kind of go into an unsafe zone and get kidnapped, certain people in the film. Um, and so it's kind of an over the top comedy and some really violent action. But what makes this different as far as Tom Cruise, because Tom Cruise has been in plenty of action movies, is that he plays this guy, Les Grossman, a producer. And he is balding, he is sleazy, he's got this pot belly. It just, the complete opposite of what you think when you think Tom Cruise. Tom Cruise is somebody who's known for his looks, known for kind of being baby-faced, cute Tom Cruise, being the hero, being the guy in action movies that always saves the day. You think Mission Impossible, you think Top Gun, all that kind of stuff. And in this, he plays the polar opposite, this really unlikable, gross-looking man, and and funny, because normally he takes himself pretty seriously. He's not afraid to go there in this movie and be funny and lay it all out there. And I mean, really different for Tom Cruise, really excellent movie and role for him to kind of get out of the box of being the leading action man. My next person is Jennifer Aniston in 2011's Horrible Bosses. In this role, she plays a dentist, this really raunchy, really sexual dentist who is trying to sexually take advantage of one of her employees. I mean, she just is relentless in her sexuality and all of that kind of stuff, which is really different from what we normally see her in. Normally, she is in the cookie cutter rom-coms. She's that really all-American, nice, friendly, unassuming woman who's looking for love. And in this, she just is exactly the opposite. She is all about sex. She is dark. I mean, she's known for being tan and blonde. In this movie, she goes with really dark hair. She just really is the opposite of what she is in every other film. But it's great, and she's hilarious. And if you haven't seen Horrible Bosses, you should see it. Just for her alone, because it's a really different role for her that's really awesome. Next is a film from this year. It's Melissa McCarthy in 2015's Spy. And in this movie, Melissa McCarthy plays a desk-bound CIA agent. She is behind the desk, guiding or helping Jude Law's character, who's out there in the field being like this debonair guy. And over the course of the movie, she gets the opportunity to go on the field herself, and she really gets a lot of confidence and totally kicks butt and all that kind of stuff. And it's a comedy. It's also an action movie, and of course, Melissa McCarthy is known for comedies. That's nothing new at all. But in most of her comedies, she chooses to play more of like the self-deprecating character, the ugly character, and she's done some physical comedy. But in this movie, what was different to me was the fact that her character, had some self-deprecating moments, and they made fun of that and some of her disguises and stuff. But she really develops this big self-confidence, and she goes out onto the field and isn't afraid to get right in the face of, the enemy and stuff like that. And also, not only is there physical comedy, I mean, there's real straight up action fights that she's doing, and it's really cool to see her, just get in there and kick butt. So, not completely out of the scope of what she's been doing, but still like in a different direction, in my opinion. Um, Next, I have Liam Neeson in 2008's Taken. And this, if you haven't seen it, Liam Neeson is basically a complete badass. And only don't cuss, but there's no other way to say that. He is a complete badass. He is this former CIA agent whose daughter gets kidnapped while she's in Europe, and he basically flies overseas. He's going to do whatever he has to do whatever to these people that took his daughter, but he's getting his daughter back. That's what the movie's about. That's the kind of character he is. He is no nonsense. He is, going to kick your butt. And the interesting thing about that to me is really previously, besides being in the relaunch of Star Wars and being in Batman Begins, he's really more well known for dramas and period pieces like Schindler's List, and was really known as more of a dramatic, serious actor. And this movie was really his first starring vehicle, being this big action man, and really transformed the way his career has been since then. I mean, now he is known as one of the major action players. I mean, since then, he's been in, I can't even count how many action movies as the star. That is how Liam Neeson is known now. So, interesting thing about this one is that his movie not only playing something off type, but it completely changed the trajectory of the movies he's been in since then. So, yeah. And the last one I have is Cameron Diaz in 1999's being John Malkovich. And Cameron Diaz in this movie is really nerdy. She's kind of frazzled. She's got this really crunchy, curly, dark brown hair, wears all these sweaters, really unassuming, kind of, a meek character, in a movie that is really strange to begin with. I mean, the whole idea of this movie is these people going inside the mind of John Malkovich. I mean, Spike Jonze, it was weird, but it totally, totally works. Very, very creative, different, weird movie, and very different, weird role for her to pick, considering, again, like some of these other actors, she's more well known for her look. She is the tan, blonde California girl who isn't afraid to make fun of herself. She's normally funny and quirky, but this was a different kind of quirky. This was much more quiet and subdued and weird, but totally wonderful. So that's all I got. I know this was a much longer video than I normally do, but I really thought it was cool opportunity. I really enjoyed it. If you guys would like to see more of this kind of stuff where we go over lists or, talk more about films in general or film history, actors, I'd love to do that. Just let me know what you'd like to see. And if you like this, as always, I'd super appreciate it if you would subscribe below. Also, don't forget to go to Lawn Gnome's page and check out his stuff. I'm going to go run do that right after I finish this because I'm interested to see if we have any matches or anything like that. And also, I'd love to hear from you guys. Is there an actor or an actress who's been in a film where you're like, wow, I really didn't see that coming, and it totally worked, or maybe it totally didn't work. But I'd love to know your thoughts. Thank you guys so much for watching. Have a great night.